This Senate Minerals Economic Development and Business Committee meeting to order. I'm going to take some relevance with the order of the business. We're going to change to Senate File 126, Wyoming Ireland Trade Commission first, and then we'll move on to the economic development, the other two bills. So with that, is there anyone here to present the Ireland bill?
Mr. Chairman, I am. Thank you. Chairman Anderson Committee, thank you very much for accommodating me. I promise to be fast. Folks, I bring you Senate File 126, Wyoming Ireland Trade Commission. This is an old friend of the Senate's, passed out with a very heavy majority out of the Senate last year and died on the vine on the other side of the building. What this is Ireland has reached out to the United States. There is 20-some states now that have Irish-American Trade Commissions. This forms a Irish-American Trade Commission in Wyoming that looks at trade both directions between the countries, educational exchanges and cultural exchanges between them. I probably have a tiny bit of conflict. I am from a family of pirates from Ireland a long time ago, and I'm co-chair of the Irish-American Caucus. So I've got a little bit of vested interest in it. The commission to lay out really what it looks at as forms a commission, 2 people by the governor, 2 by the House, 2 by the Senate, 1 by the minority floor leader, 1 majority floor leader, or minority floor leader, both sides, and then 1 of the board itself. And then it defines in it where the different members come from, which is education, industry, all of that end of it. And it just goes on basically boilerplate on the next couple of pages on how people serve on it, don't serve on it. And if they leave, like, for example, if you get on there as a senator, you're no longer a senator, obviously you get replaced. Same for others. They meet not less than once each calendar quarter. They meet now. I've been going to the meetings on my own time and own way. Basically, that's the long and short of the whole deal. It's just how to do it. As an example of kind of how they start out, we did the Taiwan Trade Office, and this is actually, it's now turned into the Asia Pacific Trade Office. That's been very successful in trade and in exchanges. We get students go both ways. In Ireland, we probably could look at sending some beef their way and maybe bringing some whiskey back this way. They're net energy importers, so it helps us in that way, but they're truly tied very close to us, and they're very similar to the state of Wyoming. Our products are similar and our wants are similar. I'd stand for any questions.
Questions for the presenter? Questions for the presenter? Hearing none. Thank you for your presentation. Is there any public who would like to speak on this Senate File 126? Any public who would like to speak? We do have one on. No, we don't have any on the Zoom. No Zoom, no room. We're done with public input. Committee, what's your pleasure?
Move the bill.
Moved. Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Any changes you'd like to make? Would you like to take Driscoll out of it?
No pirates.
No pirates. No pirates.
I'd like to discuss the pirate issue.
Okay, let's have a roll call vote on this.
Mr. Chairman, this is.
Wait a minute, just wait just a second. Rothfuss, we're going to vote a roll call vote on
Ireland.
on Ireland. Yeah,
Ireland.
Senate File 126, the Irish Commission. Go ahead, Sue.
Mr. Chairman, this is a roll call vote for Senate File 126. Senator Cooper,
Aye.
Senator Jones,
Excuse.
Senator Nethercott,
Aye.
Senator Rothfuss, Chairman Anderson.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, you have 4 ayes, 1 excused.
All right, you squeaked by, Driscoll. Okay. Yeah. You got it. We're gonna have Driscoll handle that on the floor?
It's your bill, Mr. Chairman.
That's true.
Mm.
But I'm going to have Driscoll handle it. Okay, we'll move right along then. We're going to start on Senate File 100, Wyoming Business Council Evaluation and Reform 2. And we do have a presenter. Go ahead, introduce yourself and have at it.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Taft Love, Senate District 6. This is a bill, an act relating to the administration of the government, creating a task force, specifying duties of the task force and evaluating the Wyoming Business Council, specifying additional ex officio members of the Wyoming Business Council Board, specifying duties of the Wyoming Business Council, requiring reports, providing appropriations, and providing for an effective date. This does have an appropriation of $75,000 in it to help administer the board and the recommendations. This is an effort to create flexibility and create a task force that would ultimately help redesign and reconfigure, evaluate the programs of, and come back with recommendations to the legislature and the board on possible legislation to support the future ongoings of the Wyoming Business Council. Are any questions?
Senator Love, this also has an appropriation of 20,000 from the general fund?
So it does have a couple different appropriations in it. One was 75, one was 20.
Yeah.
And I think that was for other members as needed for travel and administrative cost of the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions for Senator Love?
Mr. Chairman.
Just love to say that.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Senator Love, thanks for your leadership here. And just for confirmation, this is a mirror bill also coming over in the House potentially. Is that right?
That is correct.
All right. Thank you, Senator.
Other questions for Senator Love? Other questions? Hearing none, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, Chairman.
Any public comment on
Raise their hand.
Senate File 100?
Squeeze their hands.
What?
Have them raise their hands.
Wipe their hand.
Raise their hands.
Oh. Go ahead. Mr. Perkins. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I know the Business Council.
If you want him to come up. But
Is your
anyway,
mic on?
it is now, I think. Can you hear me?
I still can't hear you. Can you hear me? Okay.
Move it closer to this.
All right, I'll move it closer. Does that help? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Drew Perkins. I'm from representing Governor Gordon's office here today. Looking at Bill 100, there's a couple of comments that I would make about it. I appreciate this as you know, Governor in his letter number 8 to the General Appropriations Committee. This takes up and does many of the exact things that he requested that the legislature consider in letter 8. That was to, in lieu of, or instead of defunding the Business Council, that we keep it and let's look at it and let's review it to make sure that it does what we intend it to do. There's always, I do remember in an 8th grade typing class, typing over and over years ago that the largest room in the world is a room for improvement. And so that always works no matter what we're doing. And with that, I think that there's a couple of things that I would do in connection with, you have 2 bills in front of you. And I know you haven't talked about the other one yet. This one I think is the superior bill. And one of the reasons is that as we talk about this, as Senate File 100 puts I'll call it a soft stop on a number of activities of the Wyoming Business Council instead of a hard freeze. And I think that's appropriate. I think that there are a few grant programs in particular that the legislature should probably take a look at. Those would be currently called the BRC, the Business Ready Communities Program, as well as potentially the large project funds. Those types of things, I think that those are the ones that probably cause the most consternation, have probably the most frustration that it gets exacerbated, it gets mentioned around the state. I think that those are the ones that are probably the most difficult. On the other hand, there are a number of functions inside the business council that work very, very well. And so I think that in analyzing, I would just caution that if the soft stop doesn't affect these, then it may not take any additional work. If it's perceived that it would, then you may want to make sure that a couple of these things go forward. I can just go over a few of those. One of them would be the Small Business Innovation Research, SBIR match. That program matches federal R&D grants. It's been highly efficient since its inception. I think probably 7.4 million in investments, been leveraged over $30 million in federal funding, supported a lot of jobs. There's a lot of federal funds that are the metrics that are required both in the federal funds as well as the other way, the state funds. I think that there's good ROI on metrics on those types of things. And so I think that that's one that you may want to consider letting to move forward. Another one would be Wyoming Main Street. Wyoming Main Street, it's a grassroots program driven by local volunteers. I remember being as a county commissioner and being involved also on our downtown the DDA, the Downtown Development Authority, going to those programs and working on Main Street. I think that I don't know that there's a lot of frustration. In fact, I think those have been very, very successful in the past. The metrics used for that are net new businesses, net new jobs, number of volunteer hours, and private investment in downtown districts. And so I think that's another one you want to make sure that would not be paused. I think that Kickstart has been kind of a stop and a start. I don't know that there's enough data on Kickstart to know about that yet. However, there's of the 24 companies that have been funded, Kickstart is anywhere up from $5,000 up to $50,000 of kind of money that goes out there. I think that that goes out for some of these Wyoming startups. A lot of the people that apply for those things are graduates or recent graduates of the University of Wyoming. Of 24 companies funded, 17 remain operational, providing strong survival rate for high risk brand new ventures. I think that then in looking at that, you may want to make sure. I think there's always been some concerns about that as far as constitutionality, but overall the program doesn't involve large amounts of money. Has been administered. We're kind of in the fifth quarter of continuing to do those types of grants. And typically there's only 2 to 3 of those types of grants are granted in a quarter. So it's not a huge program. You may want to, again, I don't know if the hard stop would affect that, but that's probably the next one would be, I'm probably making sure that we're not impacting the BEAD office, which is the internet broadband office. I know that just last week the BEAD money came in and I did a B11 for the BEAD for that next 100, and I think it was $196 million that came in on the federal funding in the BEAD program. And so again, I think most of those applications have already been received, although they haven't necessarily been awarded. And so again, I think that's a program that's well on its way, and just want to be careful that I think you'd want to be careful not to inhibit that for a year. I think that you actually may end up potentially losing some of the funding opportunities that are coming through the federal BEAD money.
Mr. Chairman.
Question here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I know we're doing this a little out of order, but there's 2 bills directing the same issues. You've indicated Senate File 100 as the preferred vehicle from the governor's position. But curious, in Senate File 125, there's no soft landing either. In fact, all the programs continue, in my understanding, with the date through April 15th, 2027, after the Business Council provides a full report on the efficacy of all of its programs, which would be due April 30th, 2026. So is your concern with Senate File 125 the hard stop in April 2027?
My concern with the hard stop is not necessarily the timing of the stop, but I think if you go through 125, it puts a hard stop on basically every program that the office does. 100 instead what it does is it just creates a prohibition on expanding any program or assuming new duties until July 1 of 2027, if I read the bill correctly. So again, I think in doing those I'm just concerned that expansion would mean that you could not do any grants during that time period. And obviously with BEAD, with the SBIR and some of those things, that would create that, if that expanding means no more additional or new grants, or particularly in BEAD with the new money that just came in, if that's an expansion of that program, I just wouldn't want it to be caught up in the no expansion language of 100.
Okay, go ahead.
With that, I think that the other thing that we did like the name better. We like the Strategic Advisory Task Force in 100 better than the Legislative Task Force, which wasn't just legislators in 125. I think one of the other concerns, I think that the task force membership I think in 100, you've got 15 different members on the task force. That's a lot of people to be involved in a task force. And so that doesn't mean that not having a seat on the task force doesn't mean that those comments and they wouldn't be involved and don't get to make public comment. But as you know, getting 15 people in one place at one time can be difficult at times. And so I don't have any particular suggestions on who you might pair out of that, but just 15 is a lot of people for a task force. With that, I think that as you look down through that, I would just note that there is no appropriation for a consultant in 100 versus 125. I don't know that you need a consultant for this. It's possible you might, but I don't know that the consultant would be needed. And the director is here. I don't know if there's money in the budget of certainly there, if you authorize them to use some of the money that's in the agency now, appropriating money for a consultant when we don't know if one's needed or not at this point. I don't know. You can take that under advisement as to whether you think that's appropriate or not. But with that, we just appreciate, the governor was very appreciative of the work that was done, appreciating giving this the opportunity to move forward, and let's figure out what is right, what works, what doesn't work, and whatever doesn't work, let's make it work right. And so thank you for your time. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd stand for questions.
Questions for the presenter? Questions? Hearing none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. Well done. How many more presenters do we have in the room? Show of hands, just two,
On 100.
3 on 100, 4,
Raise your hand again on 100.
just on 100. Raise your hand just on 100. Okay, that didn't go over very well. Just on 100. One. Okay, good. Let's go ahead with the presenters on 100. Oh, that was 3 at a time. I see. I see. Okay.
If you didn't raise your hand, you are prohibited from testifying.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. More than anything, I just wanted to let you know, my name is Josh Durrell. I'm the CEO of the Business Council, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I think the chief did a really good job of kind of laying out economic development as a whole. And in general, we're pretty darn excited about the attention and the effort and the interest in diving deep into what the Business Council does and can do for the state of Wyoming. Really quickly, just to summarize some of the numbers that the chief threw out at you, for every dollar that has been invested in the last 5 years in the Business Ready Communities Program and the Wyoming Venture Capital Fund, that returns $25 in economic impact to the state. So you should think about that as that puts $25 into the pockets of people in our economy. And those are people that are working every day in the state. It also returns 65 cents in revenue back to the state. Now, the basic leverage ratio there is pretty darn good. As an individual investor, I would love that. And so I think it's important to just remember that investing in economic development in our state is a really, really good thing. And I think this particular bill does a good job of allowing us to show that, but also learn from it and improve upon what we're doing. And so with that, I'll stand for any questions. With me today, I have Dr. Joe Schaefer. The name tag that he happens to be wearing at this moment, as he went through his Rolodex of name tags, is for the Wyoming Business Council Board. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Questions? Yes.
Yeah, Director, what is the total budget for the Business Council?
Mr. Chairman, Senator Nethercott, that's a loaded question. As it stands today, in the last few months of our operations, I believe our budget for the last biennium was about $80 million. The budget that was suggested by or recommended by the governor was just a little over $50 million, around $52 million. And the budget that was recommended by the Joint Appropriations Committee was $0.
So pretty wide difference. Go ahead. More questions? More questions? More questions? Hearing none? Thanks, Josh. And Doctor, thank you for the presentation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Any more from the room? Any more from the room? Oh, I guess they're just getting up. No more from the room? We have quite a number from Zoom. As I think we will limit the Zoom presenters to 1.5 minutes since we don't have that much time with these noon meetings. So 1.5 minutes for the Zoom presenters. So do you want to go ahead and call on the Zoom presenters, Sue?
Mr. Chairman, Justin Farley has been invited into the room.
Justin, are you on there? Go ahead.
Sorry, good afternoon. This is Justin. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we're limiting it to 1.5 minutes just because we got so many presenters. So go ahead.
Okay, well, very quickly, I might be wanting to speak on the second bill, the 125 as well, but my name's Justin Farley. I'm the CEO of Advanced Casper. My board and myself wanted to convey to this committee that economic development on a state level is a very important piece of economic development for our local communities. The Business Council is a very complex organization. They have several things that are working well, and we can't afford to blow up all of that just out of the lack of understanding of it. So we've done several deals in the past. Most recently, we did the infrastructure for Mesa. It wasn't just state dollars for that. We had the town of Evansville, the city of Casper, or excuse me, Advanced Casper, both property owners, Mesa themselves, and the state contributing dollars to that project that is ongoing. And there was discussion on Friday briefly about the private sector should take care of that. Well, there wasn't a lot of financial institutions getting in line to lend on a 250,000 square foot facility in Casper, Wyoming. So through this process of getting that infrastructure, we took down some of that liability to make it more comfortable for those banking institutions. Again, that's a bit of a unicorn for even Casper, a 250,000 square foot. There wasn't a lot of banks that wanted to have that on their balance sheet. So I don't know where I am with time, but I will leave it at that and perhaps talk to you again after 125.
Yep, no problem. Whoever's next.
Mr. Chairman, Kim Pexton.
Kim Pexton, are you there? You have 1.5 minutes. And it's clicking across fast. Should we go to the next one?
She's,
Or
she's
is
in
he-
the room.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
Yes.
My apologies, I'm having technology problems. My name is Kim Paxton. I'm the mayor of Douglas. I'm also the vice president of Wyoming Association of Municipalities. I'll make mine very brief. We are definitely in support of a review and a reset for the Wyoming Business Council. We have used them in the past. We'd like to continue to use them in the future. We currently do have a business ready grant that we have done with them. If we're going to have any kind of economic development in Douglas, which we have a lot, we're going to need the help of the Wyoming Business Council to get that infrastructure completed. So we are for the reset, a review, and moving forward with them.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Kim, for your presentation. Next is
Robert
Robert.
Briggs.
Robert Briggs from Sheridan. Robert, are you there?
The greatest utilizer of the business council in the history of the business council.
He's coming in, Mr. Chairman. Just a moment.
Robert Briggs, are you there? Robert, we have so many presenters, I've had to limit it to a minute and a half for you.
Mr. Chair, thank you. I will go ahead and reserve, I believe, my comments for Senate File 125, other than to say that, like the previous presenters, we support the opportunity to review and reflect on the Wyoming Business Council and its programs and recognize its importance to our communities and contributing to our economic development success. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Robert.
Matt Murdock is next, Mr. Chairman.
Matt Murdock, are you there? You want to speak on Senate File 100?
No, I was wanting to speak on 125. I didn't raise my hand, but
Okay, all right.
I can wait.
We'll
Thank
move
you.
you to 125. Thank you.
Ask him if he's sure.
Huh?
He was just here in front of us last week.
Oh,
We've lost one more for 120 or 100. Max Mickelson.
Max Mickelson, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Max, we limited it to a minute and a half just because we have so many presenters.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Thank you and members of the committee. I wanted to speak from the perspective of Rock Springs, where I'm the mayor, and we're working hard on economic development. One of the best examples that we have of a successful partnership with the Business Council is our airport terminal project. And you know, this was more than just putting in a building. It was about our economic competitiveness. It strengthened our regional access, supported business travel, and improved our reliability for industry, and sent a clear signal that our corner of the state and our county and our city are serious about growth. And that is exactly what strategic investment looks like when state and local partners are aligned. We've also learned, though, that economic development can stall quickly when local partners aren't really enough participants in that process, or it's too centralized. Delays in approvals, different requirements, unclear timelines can all cost communities opportunities because private investors and employers operate on real deadlines rather than government deadlines. And so I'm really excited, one, that you are all looking at continuing the Business Council because it is such a vital tool that we have, but also looking at ways where we can improve it. And I really hope that that process has strong participation, not just at the legislative and executive branches, but also at the local level. It is one of the most powerful tools that we have to take care of those infrastructure needs that open opportunities for business growth and provide the structure that government does so well. And so I like 125 better than the other, but I'm happy that you're considering it. Thank you.
Thank you. Just made it just under. How about Mayor Juarez? Is she
Mr. Chairman, that's everyone that registered for Senate File 100. The mayor was disconnected. They're no longer online.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right. Well, that's all of them on the Zoom and all of them in the room. And so I'll close public comment. Committee, what's your pleasure for Senate File 100? Senate File 100, what's your pleasure? Senate File 100. Hearing no motion, we will
Table the bill.
table the bill. Table Senate File 100. So we'll move right on to Senate File 125. Senate File 125. Is there a presenter for Senate File 125? Crum?
Where's Crum?
I don't know. Do you want to present it?
Mr. Chairman, I'll present the bill.
All right. Do you want to present it here or out there?
I want to present it here just to
Well-
allow for, and I think, Mr. Chairman, not to be a chairman too much, but to allow those who are ready and willing to testify, recognizing there's at least 10 who I think intend to testify on this bill draft. We can get them on deck and ready to testify and save some time of shooting around. And then online, perhaps bring everybody into the room, but put them off camera so we can't see them and then we don't have to wait to bring them in. That's me getting the mic, Mr. Chairman. Are we ready?
Go
for me to
ahead.
present?
Go
Okay.
ahead. I won't cut you off yet.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, so Mr. Chairman, you have Wyoming Business Council Amendments, Senate File 125, sponsored by Senator Crum, who I think is in another committee meeting right now. This is another effort to save the Business Council. The intention of this bill draft was to provide all of the potential programs that the Business Council currently possesses in order to understand that where the legislature is currently in a pretty dynamic position in its relationship to the Business Council. Understanding that the initial action by the JAC and members of the legislature was an entire repeal. And so the current budget bill certainly continues to maintain that particular intention with it. So Senate File 125 is an effort to go beyond a task force and rather force the Business Council to do its own self-reflection, provide a report back to the legislature no later than April 30th of 2026. Includes an evaluation and a mention in the bill draft of all the programs that the Business Council does in order to provide the legislature tools in its toolbox to make proper amendments during this session, to understand which programs may move forward, which may not, as a result of the legislative process. The bill also creates a task force. It does provide that hard stop that everyone is very much concerned about. And that hard stop, I think, is important to recognize in my conversations with Senator Crum, is just a placeholder to force a conversation regarding the continuation of these programs. And so I believe, based on my conversations with the Senate sponsor, that that's up for amendments would be welcome when it comes to that hard stop, but recognizing that that certainly motivates the legislature, the members of the council, the stakeholders that want to testify today, that there may be a hard stop. And so that really provides that impetus. That 2027 date would be after the legislative session in 2027. And so any work that the legislative body does in 2027 could prevent this from going into place as well. And so it really is a double safety valve to ensure that the important work that's currently underway for economic development in the state has many opportunities for recovery. But you can call it a hard stop if you desire. But that is kind of the intention, is to provide flexibility to the legislature to work a bill draft that allows for the continuation or elimination of particular programs, and also funding mechanisms, including a task force. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to stand for questions. If not, I encourage us to listen to those stakeholders who who have comments on economic development in the state.
Question for the presenter. Question for the presenter. Hearing none, thank you for your presentation. Thank you for opening this up. I will ask the same question in the room. How many want to present on Senate File 125? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6? Is that what you get? 6, 7. 7?
And how many online?
We have 5 or 6 online.
6. Mr. Chairman, there's 6 online for 125 now.
Yeah, 6 online. Okay, let's go ahead and start in the room then. With anyone who would like to start, is there an agency that would like to start or a governor's office that would like to start? Yeah, come on up.
Come on.
Mr. Chairman, again, Drew Perkins for the governor's office. Again, thank you. With many of the same comments, I've already done that. Again, the only couple things that I would mention in 125, we'll just go straight to some comments, and that is on the moratorium or the hard stop or the moratorium. I think that would again ask you to maybe consider allowing a few of some exemptions for that, which would be the pass-through programs like BEAD, the SBIR matching and Wyoming Main Street Technical Assistance in particular. I think those are all for all the reasons that I mentioned before. In addition to that, I think that in the governance function, I mean, this is the governance section of the Wyoming Business Council is a little bit interesting. I don't know that outside of there's a couple of boards on which the governor would be both the chairman and a voting member, but that's probably the exception rather than the rule. Again, I don't know that, I think that moving the governor and maybe having the governor appoint that person, much like it does on many of the other boards and commissions, might be a better choice than what the current makeup of that is. But obviously there's a number of those out there, and maybe there's a model that works a little bit better, such as for example, the Board of Transportation, the Game and Fish Commission, those types of folks would advance 1 or 2 or 3, some recommendations to the governor, and the governor would pick. And then typically the Senate would confirm. So I think putting those things so it's more the norm rather than a unique might provide that. I think again the governor thought that the addition of members for the oversight, having legislative members for oversight on there, non-voting members that then can create and make sure that all the data and the legislature is aware of what and how happens at the Business Council. Thought that those were all good changes, and with that, I have no other comments, so would stand for questions.
Questions for the presenter? Questions. Hearing none. Thank you. Right on to you.
Mr. Chairman, Josh Durrell, CEO of the Business Council again. I think the chief covered it really well. Again, I think our stance is that we're excited about the coordination. We're excited about being able to tell the story and work together to address some of the concerns that are floating around. And so we see it as a great way to do that. Somebody did ask me though which one I liked more, and I punted on that question just like I do when my kids ask me which one I love the most, because I love them all equally, just like I love both of these. So thank you.
Okay, Doctor, did you have something on this one?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name's Joe Schaefer. In my day job, I work for one of Wyoming's wonderful community colleges. I'm here in my capacity as a member of the Wyoming Business Council Board. I currently serve as the secretary on the board. I feel it's a great privilege to be on the board of the Wyoming Business Council, predominantly because of economic development and creating an economic future for our kids and our families is incredibly important to me, and it's important to the people I serve in my day job. This conversation, really a testimony, is somewhat difficult to have, recognizing that as the budget currently stands, both of these bills, either of these bills or anything that the other chamber may pass, would be difficult to implement if there were no funds and no business council that exists. So in some ways, that'll be a conversation we'll have to see play out. What I'll share with you on behalf of I think the board, although I'll pretend not to speak for them, is what you've heard and what you'll likely hear. Economic development is important, and it's important to continue to do for the state of Wyoming, and stopping it in its entirety when there may be concerns about improving it will actually set us back and likely do more damage. I think how we get to there is probably the work that you as a body will have to figure out. Senator Nethercott's points are valid and on point. This conversation about how we improve the state's role and approach to economic development is important, and one that should not be rushed. Right now, it feels like there isn't a lot of time and it is being rushed. Whatever you do, ensuring, as the good chief said, the key programs and those things that we know are working on behalf of the men, women, the businesses of Wyoming continue to sustain itself while giving us the room and the appropriate time to look at how things can be improved. I think we'll all agree, and the board agrees, that there's areas where we can do better. I think the state has an opportunity to redefine what is the appropriate role for state government and economic development. Those conversations take time. Give the Business Council time to continue doing the work that they're doing. And then as you see fit, this bill and other bill, direct the body and direct the Business Council accordingly. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Happy to stand for any questions.
Questions for the presenter? Questions? Seeing none, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Next.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Ashley Harpstreet, and today I'm here on the behalf of Wyoming Association of Municipalities, and also as a new role as the administrator for Wyoming Economic Development Association, now housed under the WAM umbrella to strengthen coordination between municipal and local economic development efforts across the state. Over the past several weeks, we have actively gathered feedback from both memberships on the programs and tools provided by the Wyoming Business Council, as many of the recipients are users of the programming. The perspectives I'm sharing today reflect what we have heard directly from communities, local economic developers, and practitioners on the ground in every corner of Wyoming. As you consider the future of the Wyoming Business Council and the broader structure of the state's economic development system, we ask that several guiding principles remain at the center of this conversation. Ground level involvement from communities and local economic developers. Any statewide economic development strategy must start with the people doing the work on the ground. Cities, towns, and local economic development organizations are the ones coordinating the projects, working with the businesses, and navigating the real-world constraints. A new structure will only succeed if it's built with local partners, not around them. Consistent, predictable policy. That starts with you. Economic development cannot thrive in an environment of uncertainty. Businesses, investors, and communities need stability, clear rules, reliable processes, and continuity across administrations. If the state chooses to rebuild the Wyoming Business Council, the new framework must provide long-term certainty, not shifting priorities every few years. Infrastructure dollars that make communities opportunity ready. No program, no matter how well designed, can substitute for the basics: water and sewer capacity, service land, transportation access, housing, and utilities. If the state wants measurable economic outcomes, the new system must prioritize flexible community-level infrastructure investment that allows local governments to meet businesses' needs today and prepare for growth tomorrow. Metrics that drive safety, not the other way around, or strategy, not the other way around. A modern economic development system must be grounded in data. Metrics should guide investment decisions, measure outcomes, and ensure accountabilities. Communities need a partner that evaluates success based on real-world impacts, jobs created, business retained, housing built, and infrastructure improved. And finally, a realistic timeline that aligns with elections and leadership transitions. As I shared in the email outlining the building blocks of economic development, leadership is the baseline. Nothing else stands without it. If the state is going to dismantle and rebuild its economic development structure, timing becomes absolutely critical. Wyoming is heading into a period of significant leadership transitions around the state, local, and organizational levels. Local governments, economic developers, and businesses need a transition plan that respects those realities, avoids disruption, and ensures the continuity of service. A rush overhaul risks creating gaps in leadership, stalling projects already underway, and weakening the very foundation communities rely on and retain the businesses. These considerations are not abstract. They reflect the daily realities of Wyoming's communities. If the legislature chooses to reform the Business Council, we urge you to build a system that strengthens local capacity, supports infrastructure, and provides the stable pro-business environment Wyoming needs to compete. In closing, I'm joined by two outstanding leaders in this work, WIDA Legislative Chair and CEO of Cheyenne Leads, Bitsy Hale, and WIDA member Brad Enzi, CEO, President of Laramie Chamber Business Alliance. We also have several mayors with us, both in person and online, who have been deeply engaged in economic development strategy for communities, their regions, and our state. As you hear from well-resourced, well-organized communities today, I urge you not to lose sight of the smaller towns, the places where small business truly means big business, and where capacity is limited, but the need is great. The survey's results I provided show clearly that many communities are struggling to keep pace and are asking for help. They want alignment with a state strategy that supports them, not one that leaves them behind. Together, WAM and WIDA stand united in our commitment to strengthening Wyoming's economic future, and we strongly support Senate File 125. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Questions for Ashley? Questions for Ashley? Seeing none, thank you, Ashley. And are your accomplices gonna having a
Conspirators.
no? No response? Oh, okay, go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Chairman Anderson and members of the Senate Minerals Committee. I am Betsy Hale, and I'm the CEO of Cheyenne Leads. Cheyenne Leads is a 40-year-old economic development nonprofit serving Cheyenne and Laramie County. I'm also a certified economic and community developer recognized by the International Economic Development Council, and I have 40 years of direct experience in 3 states. I'd like to share with you my top 10, commandments or rules for economic development. The first one is economic development must be grassroots and from the bottom up. Who knows a community better and who knows what they need than the people that live there? There's no such thing as a one-size-fits-all in the state of Wyoming. Each of our communities is unique and extraordinary. Successful economic development, number 2, starts with a comprehensive economic development strategy at the local level, followed by a regional strategy that populates a statewide plan. Comprehensive economic development strategies are the gold standard and are critical for the Federal Economic Development Administration to award grant funding. Following strategies, communities, counties, and the state must identify annual priorities with clear measurable outcomes, and the actions required must be funded with a budget. Once you have a strategy and priorities and funds to carry the work out, there must be accountability. There must be a body, governmental or nonprofit, that regularly receives progress reports to ensure the right work is happening and the outcomes are achieved. 5, economic development is a profession. Staff must be trained in basic tenets of the career and understand there are basic principles and processes that lead to success. 6, economic development is a team sport. Elected officials from all levels of government, business leaders, educators, workforce professionals, and economic development professionals need to work together. Everyone can bring together something to the table to reduce duplication and ensure the right work is being carried out. 7, economic development is a marathon, not a sprint. Leeds has been in business for 40 years. Our first success was Sierra Trading Post in the Cheyenne Business Parkway in 1992. This was followed by EchoStar, Lowe's, and many others such as Eagle Claw in 2022. The Microsoft campus in the North Range Business Park took 6 years to land in 2012. The private sector, Cheyenne Leads, the city, the county, and the state all came together to have that project happen. The state helped with BRC funding for infrastructure. Economic development is about relationship. Economic developers are not salespeople. We build relationships with companies, existing employers, government officials at all levels, educators, city, county, and state staff, and especially residents and our community leaders. Number 9, economic development takes leadership. In the absence of leaders that have courage and are willing to take calculated risks, nothing will occur. Statewide economic development requires elected officials to demonstrate that they do care about the health, safety, and the welfare of the citizens of the state. And number 10, it's okay to say no. Not every deal is a good deal. Not every company is a good company for your community. In this case, as you consider the future of the Business Council, don't say no. It's okay to take a pause, to pump the brakes, to evaluate what is working and what is not. This will require leadership and courage and some risk takings, but I think you are up to the challenge. I encourage you to preserve the Business Council. We know there needs to be reform, but there doesn't have to be in a hurry. I support 125 as does Cheyenne Leads. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Brad Enzi. I'm the CEO of the Laramie Chamber Business Alliance. We have a long track record of working very well with the Wyoming Business Council. We also have our rubs. It's just like the rest of Wyoming. Some days we're going to get along great. Some days we're going to butt heads. But I want to dispel one notion as I rise to support Senate Bill 125, and that is this is competitive. This is hardcore. This is brass knuckles. This is fights that we're having with every other state. So I would ask you today, where does that stamp lie? The second that we say we're defunding and we take away the stamp for the state of Wyoming and we lose our position, I promise you that every regional and most national partners are laughing with glee at Wyoming when we say we're not going to do something. So I would highly encourage you to keep in some form or function the Business Council and that stamp and that spot in the fight for us, because it is competitive and there are winners and losers. Locally, we need to know what the tools are, what tools are available, how we access them, and what the timeline is to access them, because business is done at the speed of business, not the speed of government. Last, I would say it's not perfect. No, right now, today, it's not. I think that's the reason we're having this discussion. I think everybody in the room is poised to have a robust discussion around how that moves forward. And what the mechanism is. Hopefully, maybe it can just work in the council. Maybe it requires a whole structure to do it, but I hope that the conversation really rolls from the ground level up when it happens. The last thing I would offer on Senate Bill 125 or in Senator Love's leadership on Senate File 100 or 150 in the House is we really need to know what the metrics are. How are we going to know if we're winning a game if we don't even know how the score is being kept? With that, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I offer my support for Senate File 125 and appreciate the work that the body is doing to keep economic development at the forefront for our state.
Thank you, Brad. Any questions for Brad? Any questions? Any questions? Hearing none, thank you. More presenters from in-house? Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I'm Mayor Patrick Collins from the city of Cheyenne. I was asked to share our economic development experiences here in Cheyenne. 40 years ago, the Cheyenne area established Leads to focus on economic development and bring primary jobs and opportunities for our community. Leads is a partnership that's made up of local businesses and individuals who pay a membership that fund our efforts. The city of Cheyenne and Laramie County each contract with Leads for economic development services, and our community twice now has raised private money, millions of dollars, to build business parks, install infrastructure, and provide land ready zoned for development. I've thought for years that Cheyenne's position on the intersection of I-25 and I-80 and our proximity to Colorado's Front Range would see development happen much faster than it has. What I've learned is that it's a continued, consistent effort that is critical for the success of economic development. As an example, Meta contacted us about 7 years ago. We had lots of conversations with them, and they went silent. And then they came back, and they went silent again. And finally, we began the conversations that ended up in a $1 billion investment that's currently being constructed in South Cheyenne. Having certified economic development specialists available when the opportunities present, land and infrastructure to make development possible, willing governing bodies, and a team that works at the speed of business has helped Cheyenne succeed. Having help from the state to fund infrastructure is critical. An example is our North Range Business Park. In 2010, the legislature added a sales tax exemption for data centers. The North Range Business Park was established, and a partnership with the state, city, county, and Leads put $20 million in that business park. Today, that investment has NCAR, the national supercomputer, Walmart's distribution center, and a very large Microsoft data center making home in the park. From that original investment, we now have many data center campuses, and they've not asked for any additional state or local funding. Millions of dollars added annually to our local and state economy once we proved the concept with our original state investment. Leeds also provides other services for companies. They've managed about $88 million of infrastructure projects for companies over the last few years. They have a full list. You need a road built and you're not able to do it, they'll take care of it for you. We talk a lot about binding constraints that hurt our ability to grow our economy. For Cheyenne, a large constraint is housing to support the workforce we need for the supporting of the new businesses and for existing businesses making an investment to grow. I hope the new iteration will include flexibility to meet local constraints. I appreciate the efforts of this committee to improve economic development efforts in our state and support our efforts at the local level. It's critical at the end of this effort, a partnership remains where a state agency like our Wyoming Business Council remains to support our local communities that want to grow. We just need it. And we also need the legislature to allocate critical infrastructure funds to help make us successful. And I'd answer any questions you might have.
Questions? Questions? Yes. Senator Rothfuss.
Thank you. I do have one. You mentioned the $20 million, I believe was the number you used for kind of the seed money to buy the property that now has Microsoft on it and a number of other facilities. Where did that $20 million come from?
You know, I wasn't on the mayor at that time, but it was a partnership between Leeds, the city, the county, and also from the Wyoming Business Council, if I understand correctly.
Okay. And Mr. Chairman, following up on that, but you don't recall what portion the business council put on? I was just curious if.
It's right here. And
I suspect Betsy remembers, yeah.
Do you want to sit down?
I can give it here. Or
Okay.
To them,
Over
yeah.
there, over there.
Yeah, over to them. Thank you so much.
So according to this list, Progress and Prosperity, that was the private fundraising that we did, was $2.6 million. Leeds put $1 million in. The Wyoming Business Ready Communities grant was $1.5 million for Walmart, another $1.5 million for the Walmart infrastructure. $500,000 came from Laramie County. $1.5 million came from the city of Cheyenne on our fifth penny economic development. And then in the second phase, the Business Ready Communities grant for NCAR put $4.3 million in. Laramie County's joint Economic Joint Powers Board, we all put money into was $370,000. And then the last phase looks like about $9 million came from the Wyoming Business Ready Community grant, and that was for the Microsoft infrastructure.
Mr. Chairman, following up on that, how much property tax alone have we seen off of that project? Do you have a sense of that?
You know,
Statewide?
Mr. Chairman, through you, I just met with Microsoft this last week, and they told me this year they'll pay over $11 million in property taxes.
So $11 million in property taxes
This year.
for 1 year.
And Mr. Chairman, that doesn't include sales tax on electricity, franchise fees, the personal property taxes and the servers they have there.
Right.
That would be just the property taxes in their buildings.
So that $9 million probably, well, I don't remember how long it's been open now. But
2012, sir?
2012. Okay. So we're in the ballpark of $100 million, somewhere in that area. It would be reasonable to say. Is that fair?
Mr. Chairman, through you, I think that number is probably conservative.
And Mr. Chairman, one more question on that. Where would we have gotten the money if we hadn't had the Business Ready Community Grant? Would the private sector have stepped up and provided that $9 million?
Mr. Chairman, I think the answer is absolutely no. We just don't have the capacity to do that. That's why I think these partnerships with the Wyoming Business Council are so critical. We, as you can tell, we put a lot of our own money into this.
Yeah.
You know, from the local level, I was part of as a small business person, that pledged over 5 years the money to help do this. 100 of our COA business people did the same thing. Our fifth penny sales tax, our voters have approved money that went into this. It's a collaborative effort. And I think over 40 years, what I've learned is you have to be consistent. You have to keep investing in yourself, because these opportunities, when they come, you have to be ready. And they'll break your heart more often than they won't. But when they do come, it's an amazing thing.
Now, Mr. Chairman, following up on that, it seems in recent years, because of our anchor tenant, the Microsoft tenant, that there's been a lot of additional momentum. And I know that you and your community have worked hard. So I say there's momentum as if you guys aren't, spending 40 hours a week trying to get these things to go through. But that seemed like it positioned southeastern Wyoming and your community for the development that has occurred since. And that we basically created the circumstances that we're experiencing now, where we have Meta and others looking at Southeast Wyoming because of that initial project. Is it fair to say that we probably wouldn't have the success that we have right now had we not had our anchor tenant?
Mr. Chairman, through you, I believe that's actually true. I think when you have somebody the size of a Microsoft or Meta coming to your community, I tell people all the time, it gets us the interview, right? People are looking for what's going on in Cheyenne, and they want to come and talk to us about it. And that gives us a chance to shine. You know, we have a cool climate that makes data centers work. The backbone of the internet runs right along the railroad tracks. We have an amazing Black Hills Energy that is willing to work with us to be able to do that. It's a partnership that is amazing. And I think that $20 million proved the concept. And now, I mean, I bet every week I talk to a different data center company, questioning, looking, asking questions. I mean, it's opened the doors for these things. That $10 million or $9 million that was invested by the Wyoming Business Council has paid off 100-fold easily.
It's probably the best investment we've ever made. Yeah, I think
Yep.
that's fair. Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
and the final point there, it seems that in the recent projects, the newer projects, you're not reliant on the business council at this point in time. You've established a track record. You have internal programs. You have lead working, and lead has been sufficient. So while in the beginning it seemed as if the business council through the business ready community grants were essential to getting this moving, you internally have had the capacity to do most of the heavy lifting since. Is that accurate?
Mr. Chairman, through you, I think that's fair. I mean, Leeds has done an amazing job of collaborating and helping make sure that all the information is out there. But these companies have come to us with a do not harm philosophy. They're not asking for money from us to be able to do this. In fact, they're building roads for us. They're building water lines and sewer lines and extending them to open other lands up for development. They're asking what can we do in our project that will help you be successful in other projects. So I find them to be amazing corporate citizens, and they're giving us just a perfect example. Related Digital came to us, and at their groundbreaking, it was $3.5 million for affordable housing because they knew that was a binding constraint for us. So not only are they providing great jobs and taxes, but they're also good corporate citizens.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Other questions? Other questions for the presenters? Other presenters?
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Rusty Bell, CEO of Energy Capital Economic Development. I will try to keep this short. As you know, from Campbell County, we are blessed with minerals, and we've invested back in our community, but we're also blessed with really good partnerships from the Wyoming Business Council and others. And a couple projects that maybe you're familiar, maybe not, to this committee with the Wyoming Business Council would be the Southern Industrial Park, which is a water expansion project from the Wyoming Business Council that is home to Cyclone Drilling, Caterpillar, Wyoming Machinery, LeBaire, and about a dozen other commercial and industrial business owners. And so hundreds of jobs in that area that benefited from water line extensions in the past. The business incubator in Gillette is a Wyoming Business Council project. The Wyoming Innovation Center is home to the University of Wyoming's SER pilot plant that's being constructed now and will be operational in the next few months. The Pronghorn Industrial Park that is going to be open hopefully by the second quarter in just outside of Gillette near Camplex is a project. And then one of the things that I can't reiterate enough is that we need to continue to get leads from the Wyoming Business Council. We're a statewide organization, and that those can't stop. Just last year, at the end of last year, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, we had an RFI come from the Wyoming Business Council that is really right in the Powder River Basin's wheelhouse. It's a large project, manufacturing, over $1 billion build out. And it's significant work to complete those RFIs. We submitted 6 different locations. And then 4 days before Christmas, we spent 48 hours submitting questions to those questions. And then we heard at the end of January, is Wyoming still open for business? Should we come for a site visit? And so that's concerning. We don't want to see these things stop. There has to be stability at the state level. There has to be stability for the local folks to continue our work. 3 of the current large projects that I'm working on, that I have been working on for almost 3 years now, were leads from the Wyoming Business Council. Those are important things. Those need to continue and in support of the bill, in support of a change, but continuing to have these things move forward. I'd
Chairman.
be happy for questions.
Rusty Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are the voters of Campbell County aware of those concerns that you're hearing from the business community and different economic opportunities heading Campbell County's way?
Yes, Chairman Anderson, Senator Nethercott. I represent about 50 companies and businesses at economic development, and certainly the owners and the board members that represent those companies are certainly telling their employees yes. I know that we hear from a lot of folks up there. I guess this year we will find out more about what the voters think. But certainly the support for expansion and stability in Campbell County has been very important to the folks that I talk to.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, follow up.
Because I know that we hear a lot from we the people and the will of the people, and they don't like to see their tax dollars to go to these big private corporations. And so we hear that out of Campbell County, and we hear that out of others across the state. So do you want to speak to that as a member of Campbell County with so much economic development happening in your county, and how that might be represented in your elected officials?
Mr. Chairman, Senator Nethercott, it's a good question. I do talk to the commissioners quite often. I do talk to the city council quite often. I hear the folks that are don't want anything. In fact, we've heard that some of them want the community to shrink. I deal with the business owners and people that employ a lot of people, and they want to see stability. They want to see growth. I think we'll see that will, I think we've seen ups and downs in Campbell County. I think we're going to continue to see those people voice their support for stability and growth in Campbell County.
Questions? Any questions? Yes, Senator Rothfuss.
Just following up on that and Senator Nethercott's point, I mean, it seems, but I'd ask you to be more direct about it, that the Business Council has worked for Campbell County and that they've been successful in implementing economic development and assisting in economic development in Campbell County. Is that accurate?
Mr. Chairman, Senator Rothfuss, I would say yes. And we have a wonderful regional person up there. I think we have good communication with the Wyoming Business Council at state level. Those RFIs, I don't know specifically if those get filtered at all, but the RFIs that come to us are in our wheelhouse. We try to do as good a job as we can to present those to, back to the folks asking for those. I am fairly new to this process, less than a year, not new to Campbell County. But I would say, yeah, I would say we've had a very good relationship with the Wyoming Business Council and projects in Campbell County, and seeing not only in research and development, but infrastructure projects that help thousands of employees.
Okay, thank you.
I would say that we don't do a good enough job beating our own chest on that.
Other questions for Campbell County? Nope. All right. Thanks, Rusty. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Chairman, committee members. Joel Highsmith, Mayor, Town of Shoshone. I'm also on the Board of Directors of Wyoming Association of Municipalities, but here I'm speaking primarily for the Town of Shoshone. I'm in support of this bill, as Wyoming Association of Municipalities are also. I just want to touch on a couple projects. It's how it's helped Shoshone. We have Curry rail car systems now in the Town of Shoshone. They came recently. We've had a couple other companies come and go. We really have landed a great company with Curry They started operation last summer. They're up to 30 employees already. That's a big number for Shoshone. This is a lot smaller than, what Gillette or Cheyenne are doing. But I mean, so we're a mid-sized municipality in the state of Wyoming. Some people call us little, but we're actually mid-sized. But the impact it has on us. We recently did a business ready grant to run a sewer line in through valued engineering. The business councils allowed us also to spend the funds that we'd saved to go into a subdivision we're developing because the grant was for a sewer line to a business. So they allowed us to put sewer line into our subdivision. That was a big boost for us to help develop that subdivision. Their flexibility and working with us on that. They've been very important. We recently was working with them on a BRC loan for Wyoming Cardiopolymers looking to set up a facility in Shoshone that would serve approximately 15% of the state's population, representing over 27% geographically of the state's size. I would serve the Fremont County and the Bighorn Basin with cardiopulmonary services. We hit a snag when we had an estimate of $7 million on the project. BRC max is $6 million. We were estimating $7 million. We just didn't have the extra money, so we're back to scurrying, figuring out where we're going to come up with that. But that program at BRC, I'd really like to speak in support of that too, because that was a loan that Wyoming Cardiopulmonary would be paying back. Half of that was loan at 2%, the other half 0% loan, and that would be reflected in their payments. And part of that money would go to on what they called the grant part, but the business would be paying the payments, would go back to the city for future economic development for sewer and water to help us expand that the business would be actually paying for it, and the state would be allowing us the model they sent us that we'd get 75% of that and the state gets 25% plus payments on that, and then the state would be getting repaid for that $3 million too. Great interest loans. It wasn't a gift to the business. They were going to be making payments. And I believe that was be a real good, I think that was a good program. So I really would hope that the business council, they admit they need new guidelines. They've been working on an old model, and I just hope we continue moving forward with them. But they even help what people call the little town Shoshone. They've been very helpful for us and very flexible, working with us on helping us so we can afford to do our infrastructure and stuff we need to keep the town alive. We were sort of dying, and with their help, that has something a lot with trying to keep things going in central Wyoming. I'm open for questions, Chairman.
Okay, Shoshone Joel. Any questions for Shoshone Joe?
Mr. Chairman, yeah.
Yes.
Mayor, I do. It sounds like the only way that project, either of the projects you discussed, would have gone forward is with the Business Ready Community Grant. That you didn't see any vehicle just from private sector alone or from community alone to have accomplished those objectives. Is that fair?
No, we had $1 million between the town of Shoshone and the business. The $6 million was a loan, not a grant.
Right.
Yeah. With that, it just financially wasn't feasible for the business entity, Wyoming Cardiopulmonary, to borrow more money that would create the payments. Currently, right now, their service in the area, they have an office open 2 days a week in Riverton, 1 day every other week in Riverton and Lander, Lander and Thermopolis. Currently, they're spending $20,000 to rent those satellite offices. this was gonna be, payments would have been over $300,000 annually. Instead of $20,000, if I said monthly annually.
Okay.
So it was a big expense. Their clientele would be very similar to start off with. Cause they already got a built-in clientele. What they would do would provide service. I'm a cardio patient, had a heart attack 5 years ago. If I'd had a cardiologist there, I should have never had a heart attack. I would have needed the surgery I had, ended up having quadruple bypass, plus a stent. I had 5 blockages. My local doctor, they ran all the tests on me and they said everything's fine. You know, right before my heart attack, fixing to go elk hunting on a Wednesday, I call up, I'm having pretty good chest pains. What should I do? They said, come in Monday. And do I need to go to a cardiologist, emergency room? Do I need to rush to you, you know? But they'd done all the tests. They didn't realize I had any problems. I had 5 blockages. If I'd had a cath lab done, they would have seen all of that. And so I went to the doctor in April. It's one of the reasons I'm so passionate. I went to the doctor in April. It was October 9th, opening day elk season, that the 11 o'clock at night, I started getting pains October 8th. I was in elk camp.
Mm-hmm.
I got up at 11 o'clock at night. As soon as I got cell service, called the wife, meet me in Waltman. I'm heading to Casper. Things ain't doing good. And, I try to shorten that story up. But anyway, that's what happens. So this is a service. They can provide that service, and they allow walk-ins, Wyoming cardiopulmonary, but it's more cardio care because they're trained professionals on that. If I'd have went into a cardiologist, my cardiologist anyway, I would have, with those symptoms, they'd have ran a cath lab on me, because all the stress tests and echocardiogram, everything else they do usually catches it, but not always.
Right.
Mr. Chairman,
And,
question?
Mr. Chairman, yeah, so I think the important question is, did you get an elk that season?
pardon?
Did you get an elk that season?
No, I did not.
So if the Wyoming Business Council, Mr.
So,
Chairman, had stepped
yeah,
in,
I did.
had stepped in earlier,
Yeah.
you would have gotten your elk.
I did miss elk hunting that year.
Yeah. That's
Now-
the way these things go, Mr. Chairman.
Mayor, last time we talked to you, we made you promise you'd get a malt shop going in Shoshone.
Hey.
How you coming on that?
Well, I am working on it. I'm really working at it, and to get them making the good malts. We still have someone with the recipes that used to work there when she was younger. And we got someone making root beer floats for a while, and I was working on, but yeah, that's, we need malts there. I'm telling you. I guarantee you're right.
Any other questions for the mayor? Any other questions for the mayor? Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for being
I
with us.
appreciate all of you. Thanks a lot.
You betcha. Anyone else in the room? A senator. Nice of you to show up. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman and committee members.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize. I was next door to Judiciary, and I hear our good Senator Nethercott did a great job presenting this bill. But I just wanted to say that I'm strongly in favor of keeping Wyoming open for business. And I think this bill gets us there by allowing us to have a year to April 15th to do that of 27. And in the meantime, we get a good chance to study the Business Council and decide what the folks of the state of Wyoming and the Senate and the House and the governor's office would like it to look like. So again, I appreciate your consideration and ask for your favorable consideration.
Any questions for the presenter that's going to present it on the floor of the Senate? No? 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 All right. Thanks, Senator Crum. Anyone else from the room? Okay, then we'll start into the Zoom. And again, we're going to limit them to 1.5 minutes because we're running out of time. We get a hard stop at 1:50? Yeah, probably.
Mr. Chairman, we're down to 4. So we
Okay.
have Justin Farley first.
And do you have them all loaded up so we can go right through them? Justin Farley, are you on there? You have 1.5 minutes to wow us.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I'm on. I just very briefly, there's been a lot of great common conversation there. I would just say that Wyoming's proven that it cannot grow organically. It's extraordinarily important for us to recruit from outside of our state to bring those employers, those businesses, those people here. And part of that is, again, having a state effort that, as Rusty had mentioned, brings those leads to a community that it might be a good fit for. So on that stance there, I would support this bill, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Justin. Next.
Mr. Chairman, Robert Briggs.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you. Again, I'd echo that there have been a lot of great comments. My name is Robert Briggs from Sheridan, Wyoming. I am the administrator of the Sheridan Economic and Educational Development Authority and have worked in local economic development in Wyoming since 2009. Sheridan has definitely benefited from the programs of the Wyoming Business Council and the technical support and partnership with them. Among our successes is the Sheridan High Tech Business Park, which is home to 3 light manufacturers, Weatherby, Kennan, Vacutech, over 135,000 square feet of manufacturing space, contributes approximately 300 primary jobs to the community. And phase 2 of that business park is now underway with an active Business Ready Communities grant. I just wanted to reiterate that these WBC programs and technical support are critical components of the local economic development toolbox. And to reiterate that the local economic development is critical. And to be successful, the programs need to center in the communities and support their needs. Sheridan's greatest successes came from being project ready, and for our community, being project ready meant carefully planning and constructing targeted infrastructure. And so funding that supports planned and targeted infrastructure development contributes powerfully to a community's economic success. And I want to echo prior comments that any task force to reimagine the scope and programs of the Business Council must involve the voice and experience of Wyoming communities and the boots on the ground of those working in the communities. With that, I offer my support for Senate File 125. I appreciate our collaboration and partnership with the Business Council and its contributions to Sheridan's success, and look forward to see what comes out of a potential task force. Thank you very much.
Good job. A minute and a half. Robert, make sure you tell any of your legislators how important Wyoming Business Council is to Sheridan. There's a few of them that maybe don't understand that. Thank you. Who's next?
Mr. Chairman, Matt Murdock.
Oh, Matt Murdock.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
How are
go
you?
ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. My name is Matt Murdock. I serve as mayor of Pinedale, as well as the president of the Wyoming Association of Municipalities. I would like to begin by echoing your remark about a malt shop in Shoshone. But anyhow, my comments are specific to 125, and as I understand it, this bill does 3 things. It freezes expansion of the Wyoming Business Council beginning July 2026, effectively sunsets new funding authority in 2027, and creates a legislative task force to evaluate the future of the agency. From a municipal perspective, 3 principles matter: orderly transition, infrastructure continuity, and meaningful local involvement. Economic development operates on a multi-year timeline. Infrastructure projects are planned, as we've heard from the mayor from Cheyenne, engineered and financed years in advance. The April 15th, 2027 cessation of new applications under this bill is not theoretical for communities. Cities and towns are actively planning water, sewer, broadband, workforce housing projects today. Any pause in application intake or approvals must be carefully managed to avoid disrupting projects already in motion. If reform is the goal, timing and sequencing matter. An orderly transition protects economic capacity while structural decisions are evaluated. For municipalities, economic development begins with physical capacity: water and sewer systems, service land, transportation access, broadband, and housing infrastructure. No structural reform will substitute for these fundamentals. The joint WHAM and WHEDA statement emphasize that economic development begins with infrastructure and community readiness, not with programming in isolation, and that remains true. If funding pipelines, particularly the BRC infrastructure or financing, are interrupted, then smaller communities will feel that impact immediately. Larger cities may absorb the delay, but most rural towns cannot. It is also critical that the mechanisms in this bill preserve federal funding streams and matching programs during the evaluation period. Wyoming communities rely on coordinated state administration to access federal dollars and required matches. If those structures are destabilized before the task force completes its review, we risk losing leverage and delaying projects and leaving money on the table. Mr. Chairman, I support this bill and I will stop my remarks here and open for questions.
Thank you. Thank you. Next. Which one is it? Oh, okay. Mayor Juarez, I don't know if you heard that we're limiting it to 1.5 minutes.
Chairman, thank you. I will make it brief. I'll go
Okay.
straight into it. Thank you so much, committee and chairman. Economic development is happening in real time for our communities. Businesses are making location decisions now, including the company in Mills that we are working with the Wyoming Business Council called Project Smile, who is now currently exploring instead building in Canada versus Wyoming in Mills. Companies are evaluating whether Wyoming is predictable and stable now. Structural changes without a deliberate transition plan introduce risk that local governments are forced to absorb, and private investors will look for stability elsewhere. The people of Wyoming deserve careful assessment, clear data, stakeholder input, and a path forward that strengthens, not destabilizes, our economic future. If improvements are needed, we should pursue them. If reforms are warranted, we should design them thoughtfully. But due diligence must come before disruption. I am in support of Senate File 125. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for being brief. Is
Mr.
that-
Chairman, that's everyone.
That's all? Okay, we've heard from the room and we've heard from Zoom, so I'm going to close the public comment. Committee, what's your pleasure?
Move the bill.
Move the bill. Moved and seconded. Moved and seconded. Seconded by Jones. Okay, any discussion on the bill?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
couple of quick comments. In December, I went to the Energy Council in Mississippi and we listened to Governor Tate Reeves. And he said a couple things that are very applicable here today. One of the things he said was there's two kinds of states. Those with energy growth and losers. And I think that applies here to economic growth as well. There's states with economic growth and losers. And right now we're setting ourselves up to be a loser if we allow this to happen. Secondly, he said there's one answer going forward, and that's yes. He said there's going to be speed bumps and barriers we got to get around. Something like like Mayor Highsmith saw. He saw some speed bumps, and Wyoming Business Council came and helped him out. Ms. Hale talked about there should be no no's, and the answer is always yes. We got to figure out how to get through it. And to Mr. Bell, his comment, hell yes, we're open for business. So those are my comments on that. Thirdly, I'm a little bothered by the fact that there's not a UW representative on the task force on this bill. The UW should be our economic driver in the state. It's primary to us, and I'm not going to bring a amendment forward today in the interest of time, but I think it's something that needs to be considered.
You can do it on the floor.
Yes.
There's only 13 in this bill, so we do have some room maybe. Yes, Senator Rothfuss.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On that task force, I would move to strike it, and if there's a second, I'll describe it. So that's basically eliminating section 3, beginning on page 19. That'll be my motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Section 3, eliminate the whole
Yeah,
section?
the whole task force, exactly. And there's a few reasons for that.
Took kind of a nasty turn.
Well, I think it's a positive turn,
Oh.
not nasty anyway.
Okay.
So it turns out we're actually a standing committee, the Minerals Committee, that's responsible for business and economic development. And this is one of the agencies that we oversee. So from a legislative standpoint, we can do this. This is actually our charge. And if we feel like it's a lot of extra work, putting together a subcommittee would be appropriate. We've done that in the past. We turn out good work from subcommittees. And if we're crafting legislation, it is most appropriate for legislators to be crafting legislation and bringing in witnesses. So from the legislative standpoint, if we need to make changes, that's the best way to do it. And I say that, you know, in my 16 years in the legislature, I've been on countless task forces and working groups. And the ones that are most effective at drafting legislation are the ones that are structured this way, a small group of legislators working with stakeholders and getting that work done. At the same time, I'm not dismissing the potential value of having a working group of stakeholders that the governor puts together. And about 9 of these or 10 of these are gubernatorial appointees. We don't need to tell the governor to put together a stakeholder group for the governor to put together a stakeholder group. And so we can probably just say at this committee at this point in time, hey, governor, why don't you put together a stakeholder group? And that'll take care of that side of it. I feel like that's a much better approach consistent with getting things done.
So Senator, I'm assuming you're going through page 24 on section 3, eliminating it all, right? Page 19 through 24.
And Mr. Chairman, through line 5 of page 24, and then we would also need to strike, well, looks like that takes care of the entire budget as well. Looks like we go through 25. My apologies, we strike both 3 and 4 because I think the entire appropriation is associated with that select committee or that task force. So strike sections 3 and 4 through page 25, line 13.
Okay, did you get that, Sue? You have
Yes,
that,
Mr. Chairman.
section 3 and section 4? We're eliminating, okay. Any more discussion on that? Any more discussion? Any more discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of that motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Aye. That motion carries. Anything else for the good of the bill? Anything else for the good of the bill? Question? Let's have a roll call vote on this. This is kind of important. This is an important deal. Let's have a roll call, Sue.
Mr. Chairman, this is a roll call vote for Senate File 125 as amended. Senator Cooper,
Aye.
Senator Jones,
Aye.
Senator Nethercott,
Aye.
Senator Rothfuss,
No.
Chairman Anderson.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, you have 4 ayes, 1 no.
All right. That baby squeaked by. All right, that'll conclude our business for today. Stay tuned for Wednesday. We have some excitement to come Wednesday also. We'll be adjourned.